You know where I got this patch from? It was a gift from Moshe Dayan. Aye. Well, not so much a gift. Well, this was back in me grave robbing days, and I went to Moshe Dayan's grave, and I took his patch, and that's what this is. I've got. Look, you can see his name on it.
My God, it is.
Aye.
So anyway, here we are.
Aye.
We've traveled to England. That's why the start of the show was Recliner Man World Tour music.
Aye. We're in England now. We're in the United Kingdom.
And we came to the town of Hammersmith, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
As an Irishman, I hate all things British.
I noticed that you were peeking over your shoulder every now and then.
I am a little concerned for that are still after me for certain freedom fighter actions that I took during the time of the Troubles.
I never lived through the time of the Troubles. You're an old guy, though.
You're
an old man.
I remember it as though it were yesterday.
The time of the Troubles, didn't they have a particular, what's the word for it?
Aye, there were a particular drink. It were the doers.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. There was a certain event that was held once a year.
Oh, you're talking about, yes, the British to curry favour with us, with their currying ways for favour. They freed certain prisoners. Most of them were misdemeanours, and they would free them on the jubilee of the year. And they'd say, go ahead, go home, but they would also free one felon, one felonious Irishman. They would free him, but on condition that he had to perform a difficult labour.
What would be the difficult flavor?
Aye, he had to fight, and he had to win in a boxing match against the British champion.
Who would that be?
That were Jimmy Wilde. Aye,
Wilde?
Jimmy Wilde, the greatest flyweight of all time he were. Aye, he knocked out 100 men, and that were all in one bout.
You can look it up, by the way, anyone who wants to look it up. Jimmy Wilde, when he was a child, that sort of rhymed.
Aye, you're a poet.
And I did not know it, he went into the mines.
Oh, yes, his daddy, his da.
He took him into
his da were a coal mining man.
The Welsh coal mines.
Aye, that's right, for they had the Welsh. And he took that little Jimmy were so little. He were a wee lad, and he were going to be a flyweight. Even then they could say, look what a wee lad he is. He'll be a flyweight someday. And they sent him into the mines as a 3-year-old lad to climb into the little crevices.
Okay, now let's get back to the felonious.
And he would put in the dynamite, and then he would crawl out there, and he put in their places no one else could reach. He did.
Okay, now, by the way, in order for one Irish felon, and I don't think there were any any Irishmen who were.
No, the Irish were all innocent. We were.
Being from Boston myself.
You're from Boston, are you?
I am from Boston. My family lost the accent after many years.
Now you speak like a native of Mitchell, South Dakota.
I do. I'm more of a Mitchell, South Dakota, something like.
What just happened there?
I think my head was falling off. So anyway. They would say to the Irishman, the miscreant, not the miscreant, the felonious miscreant, will allow one of you to get out of jail free.
Aye, but there were no volunteers, for they were all afraid of Jimmy Wilde.
They'd have to face Jimmy Wilde.
Aye, better to stay in prison for all of our days, they said, than to square off against Jimmy Wilde in the ring.
Jimmy Wilde well, actually, some people took him on, but they didn't win. They just got beat up for the trouble. Jimmy Wild would beat him up in the first round, and then he'd go to the bar. He'd have a drink, and he'd be fine. The others were dragged off. They'd be dragged back into the Gray Bar Hotel, and that was it. Now let's talk about something else.
I think so. I mean, this business of Jimmy Wild, it's rather depressing. I'm weeping out of the eye that I haven't got, and I'm getting me patch all damp. And this is a collector's item. It is, for it's Moshe Dayan's patch. And he only had one patch all of his days. Aye, this were his lucky patch. And whenever there were a war, he would say to David Ben-Gurion, he'd say, David, bring me lucky patch. Bring me lucky patch. And David would come along and he'd say, here you are. And Moshe Dayan, he'd say, put it on me.
You know.
And David would say, can't you put it on yourself? And Moshe would say,
David would have had the same problem as I have, with the hat falling off.
Why's that?
He has too much white hair on his head.
I see.
Moshe Dayan, on the other hand, he had a haircut like mine, but he was able to keep it on, and I don't quite understand that. Maybe he didn't sit in a recliner. But anyway, let's get back to the reason we came to Hammersmith.
And if you do have a Moshe Dayan patch, something, a collector's item like that, you can't put it in the washing machine. You've got to send it to the dry cleaners.
Now,
for only a Chinese man can properly clean Moshe Dayan's eye patch. And don't be using one of those bags that they say, oh, put the bag in your dryer and it's just like dry cleaning. It isn't. No, it's not the same thing.
No.
You've got to send it to the Chinese laundromat where they do the dry cleaning. You've got to. For it's Moshe Dayan's eye patch.
Wait a sec. I get it. Wait a minute. Keep going.
Aye.
I just got it.
I've said all there is to say.
Right.
It's that simple. You've got to take it to a reputable Chinese laundromat. You do, and don't go to one of those. And make sure they're Chinese.
请确保您的干洗店是中国人，避免模仿。
I was lying about being from Boston.
Aye.
And I can't tell you where I'm really from.
You're from... Recliner man's from parts unknown. No one knows where he's from. He simply appeared one day.
I have these... every now and again, I have to do this.
Recliner man has to have the vaporized doers. For he can't... He doesn't... It's the little sharp on his throat if he drinks the liquid. So he's got vapor.
Especially when you're in English garden, because English gardens have, they're different. You're waiting for the sun, but the sun sometimes doesn't come.
But you still get a tan, you do.
So anyway.
From sitting in the British line.
Let's talk about...
Semolina Pilchard. She were climbing the Eiffel Tower. And I said to her, girl, you've been a dirty girl. You let your knickers down.
Well, wait a minute. You know, you gotta remember.
And then I made her an omelette. And I said, I'm an Eggman. I'll make you an omelette. And she says, what are you going to put in it? And I said, it's going to be a Denver omelette. Aye, that's right. It's going to have ham, and it's going to have green pepper, and there's going to be onions.
At least she's not Dirty Maggie May.
Oh, Dirty Maggie May. Aye, I remember her. They took her away, you know.
So let's talk about why you came to Hammersmith.
There's only one British who I can tolerate, and that's the owner of the English garden that we're sitting in right now. And
I recognize this one. This is in the town of Hammersmith.
Aye, that glorious town of Hammersmith, the only town in bloody old England that I can abide.
And there's a reason for that, right?
Aye, for this is the English garden of Dame Helen Mirren. Aye.
And you can look that one up too.
I knew her before she were a dame.
Well, she was a dame from even before you knew her.
She were a dame.
She's always been a dame.
Aye. But she had yet to
And there's
kneel.
nothing like a dame.
That's right.
Nothing
There's
like
nothing
a dame,
like
a dame. And she...
There's nothing you can name. There's nothing like a dame.
So that's why we're really here.
Aye.
We're
Dame Helen
doing
Mirren.
the world tour.
Aye, and I thought perhaps I can rekindle the flame with Helen Mirren. For there were a time when we were a pair of star-crossed livers, we were. I were in RAA. I were in IRA. I were smuggling the guns. And she were a British.
And she was smuggling her charms.
Aye, she were smuggling her charms.
We're touring the world, but because of the world being really small these days, you can send pictures of your garden.
Aye, that's right. If you'd like Recliner Man to vlog from your garden, then you've got to just send a picture of your garden.
And we will be blogging from there next time.
That's right. That's where, and upload your picture, or put up a video with a picture of it in there.
But keep your wives away from Patches McGee.
Aye.
Reclinabile, l'uomo è sponsorizzato dalla mafia. Essi controllano l'industria del carrello. Hai baciato il tuo non squilla di recente.